Hi, I'm Panicky. I'm an indie game developer working on a game called Package Party, which is a local multiplayer game about delivering packages in the weirdest way possible. And this is the weekly devlog. Past week I have been playtesting the game a lot, and this week I've been implementing the feedback from those playtests. Most feedback was really positive. People had fun playing the game, but there were just a few minor issues which made it very hard to get into the game. So I tried to simplify that, I tried to make it more streamlined. To do that I had to completely redesign the first world of the game, which was 10 levels. But ultimately I could reuse some parts of the old levels, so it wasn't that big of an issue. Yeah, I redesigned the first 10 levels, I was able to playtest it again, and it was a huge improvement. So I'm very happy with that. People liked the game, all the levels were easy to understand, they were fun to play, they were challenging. Although, to be honest, at the moment the game is not really balanced yet, because I'm still designing new levels, it's still in early stages. So it is on the easy side of things, but as I want to make the game accessible to anyone, even those who have never played a game before, I think it's quite alright to make it on the easy side of things. So yeah, that's what I've been doing, and as I'm developing these levels, I've noticed a trend in the levels, and I'm also researching other successful games which use cooperation, which use levels, for example Overcooked. And I've noticed a trend, which is that they usually introduce mechanics and then evolve them over time. And what I mean by that is that, let's say you introduce trampolines in the first level, then of course you want to make it simple because it's the first level with trampolines. So you just say, well, trampolines move you upwards. When you stand on them, you are shot into the sky. But then the next level, you might use trampolines again, but to make it challenging, to keep it fresh, you change it a bit. So for example, you say, now trampolines are angled. So when you stand on them, you shoot at an angle into the sky, so you can reach different places. Then the next level you use trampolines, you might be able to rotate them by pressing a button. And the next level you might be able to move trampolines. The other level, they may be a button by themselves, so when you stand on a trampoline, something happens somewhere else in the level. And this way over time they evolve mechanics, so it always stays challenging, it always stays fresh, but it also stays familiar, because people have seen trampolines before, so when you use them in the 6th level to do some very complex stuff, they won't be intimidated. So that's what I noticed also in my own designs, and I thought, well, I can use that to make the level design a bit more structured for myself, but also for the players. So what I did was I created a huge spreadsheet in Excel, and on the left side there are the core mechanics of the game, for example trampolines, but also conveyor belts, pushing things in general, like pushing buttons. And on the top there are all the levels in the game. And in this spreadsheet, as you can see, I'm simply writing down how I evolve the mechanics, so that I make sure that I always mix up the mechanics a lot. I don't reuse the exact same combination of mechanics into subsequent levels. And I also make sure I always evolve them, so I don't just use the mechanic in the exact same way in all the levels. And of course it isn't possible to always evolve them. It would also be a bit intimidating if I did that. So when you see an X, just an X mark, the mechanic is present, but it isn't evolved, there is nothing new about it. So yeah, I'm creating this spreadsheet. Currently it isn't that big, it's just the first 2 worlds. But the final game hopefully will have about 10 worlds, maybe 100 levels, at which time this spreadsheet would have become absolutely huge. And I just think it really helps designing the levels. I was able to redesign the first 10 levels quite quickly with this approach. So yeah, and then I made a portal. When you transition between worlds in the game, I wanted there to be an animation and a portal appearing, and when you walk underneath the portal, a video plays, which explains the story, which explains the world you're going to. For the first world, it's not that amazing, of course, but later in the game, other worlds will have different themes to them. Maybe there will be a jungle world or a Christmas world or whatever. And the story video will basically be a way of explaining what you're going to do and where you're going in the story next. So I wanted to make a nice portal for that. Of course, it's not the final model. If you're looking at this modeling and you think, wow, let's learn from that. Please don't. I am not a good 3D modeler. Maybe it's even the weakest skill of all my skills. I've never made a 3D game before actually, so I'm still learning as I go. I try to practice 3D modeling every week, even if I don't need an asset. I think I'm getting better at it. The portal doesn't look awful, but just don't see it as good practice what I'm doing here. Anyway, I created this portal, then I moved it into Godot, my game engine, so that it would appear as an animation when you unlock the next world. And yeah, that actually went quite well. Didn't notice any hiccups along the way. So now there's a nice portal appearing, which clearly shows the difference between two worlds, which was also an issue I was having. And the last thing I did was actually add a main menu to the game. There wasn't one yet, because I didn't think it was very important in the first stages of the game, in the early stages of development. But now there's a main menu in the game, and there are some settings here and there. You can lower the graphic settings. If you have performance issues, you can lower the audio volume and things like that, and it looks a bit nicer and a bit more polished now that there's a main menu. And yeah, that's what I've been doing the past week. It's been mostly implementing the feedback from our playtesting, designing new levels, and getting the game ready for version 0.3. And I hope to have version 0.3 up online today or tomorrow. I will let you know with a video devlog and a normal devlog, an announcement about it when it is ready. I was lost for words there. So yeah, that's what I've been doing last week. If you like what you see, you can download the game. There's a free demo on itch.io. The game is in early access, so if you have bug fixes you want to report, or you have feedback, things you want to see in the game, you can always tell me. Yeah, I hope this was informative. Until the next week.